Music isn't primarily about skill. It's about communication. When we lead with skill first, technique first, structure first, form first, all of these kind of restraints and constructs, we lose the art, the expression, and I would argue we lose the craft too. Because although craft is different than art, craft is still something beautiful that has been constructed really well. It's not just, building a bookshelf and the bookshelf works. That is not craft. Craft is, oh my goodness, this bookshelf is everything. I want 4 of them. I want to adorn my house with this bookshelf, as the bookshelf is making me feel seen and loved in the world. Silly example. You know me, if you've been listening for a little bit, I have my metaphors. But seriously, craft even is influenced by our connection, by our communication. What are we communicating through our craft and how our craft evolves in the building of that? That's purposeful, that's meaningful, that's telling a story. And you can communicate with simple ideas. You don't have to have the highest skilled or be the highest paid musician in the world or be the most talented musician in the world to really communicate. You can also be completely off the charts, genius, talented, savant, whatever you want to call it, and miss the mark with communication. I mean, you all know somebody who's super verbose, using huge big words and talking a mile a minute and dominating the conversation. You can't get a word in edgewise. That exists in music too, and I don't think hardly any of us enjoy it. I mean, of course, sometimes we can nerd out on just the sheer technical ability or skill, but I like to favor artists that have that balance. I can feel something, whether it's something I didn't want to feel or something I do want to feel, or hopefully a combination of both. If we haven't met yet, I'm EP Archer, and this is Music Rebels Rising, where serious musicians break out of old patterns and finally create music that actually feels like them. Of course, we have the language analogy with music. Music is a language, just like learning a foreign language. And I could know only a few words in another language, but use eye contact and body language and say it with feeling, whether it was a rudimentary phrase or not. I could also wax on with big long sentences and not really connect with the person I'm talking to. And music is the same. If we over prioritize the technique and allow ourselves to lose that emotional connection and we're just in our intellect, it falls flat. And it's the same with any art, with poetry, with dance. You can technically execute ballet, but there is this feeling and energy and vibration when we're connected. So I don't want to go super, super deep today, but I want to just overlay this idea of layers of musical communication. And love to hear your feedback, love to hear what you're thinking about this, but it's not just music is communication, music is a language, bada bing, bada boop, put a pin in it, we're done, right? There are different layers and different resonances, just like our body has our physical body, and we have our spiritual body, and we have the vibrations that are electromagnetic, right? Our heart and our brain wired together, creating that magnetism and that electric power that can be measured scientifically, not just when we're meditating, but in other areas. And so there are so many layers of just our human body alone. Let's think of those different layers of musical communication, our musical body, if you will, the ways that we radiate out energy and magnetize other energy to us. And the first layer I think of is sonic connotation. You can play one note, you can have one chord, you can have one rhythm, but it's the quality that feels, evokes, emotes. And it could be melody, harmony, rhythm, instrumentation. And it's interesting, the connotation part I love, because I also write poetry, and there are different words that I will use for their sound or for their connotation or for their context historically, not necessarily for the denotation, not just for what the word definition is. That is, one layer. But also with music, there's a sonic connotation. And what's really cool to me is that's different for everybody. Something maybe in a minor key with lots of major seconds in it and or suspensions, to me might feel like beautiful and longing and wistful and hopeful. And to someone else, it just might feel sad. It might feel like a super bummer, that same musical element. And so then again, we're opening this conversation of music and notes against each other and communication with ourself first, ourself in the music we're creating, the other musicians, the people who are listening, the people who are feeling with us. And to me, we could stop right there. Sonic connotation it's pretty amazing. And I love how personal it is, and also how different areas, different backgrounds, different types of cultures can all have similar sonic connotations in one aspect and completely individual ones as another layer to that. Another layer is your signature sound. We talk about that a lot because your signature sound isn't just about, your tone quality or, the instrument you have, like that great mouthpiece that you bought, and upgraded your instrument with, or, that sweet guitar that you saved up for 5 years to buy, that tone that person gets that you're trying to emulate. Signature sound isn't just aural. It's feeling, it's personality, it's energy, it's performance, it's the vibration that you are bringing. It changes everything. A good example is Greg Laswell, his cover of Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And he takes that upbeat, fun, poppy 80s signature sound and he sits down at the piano, and it's so masculine and sad and introverted and deep and beautiful, and like how I love that idea. And I won't side note on this too long, but one really cool thing to do to work on your signature sound is to do covers of different time periods, different generations, different genres that you aren't in, and bring them into your fold. Like a Texas swing band doing a cover of Girls Just Want to Have Fun is totally different than a jazz musician doing a cover. And your genre can be the gateway to your signature sound, right? You can hear two artists sing the exact same song, exact same notes, but the way they sing it and how they're feeling and the space that they create around it and through it towards us as a listener, completely different experience. Think of the third layer as the expressive vehicle. It could be anything like the form, the structure, the instrumentation, the texture, the tempo, the genre. This vehicle is something that's communicating with us and creating energetic layers that humans just in general have an expectation about. We can honor that expectation, we can toy with it, we can break it, or we can revolutionize it. If string music moves you, that's a good place to start. That's a creative constraint that you could use, but one that feels good, not one that keeps you in a box, one that ignites something in you that you're able to communicate differently because of that expressive vehicle. And finally, musical vocabulary. We talk about this a lot, with jazz music, with classical music, our cadences, our scales, our, jazz licks, our vocabulary, our tasty hop, bebop, our swing, and also, R&B, blues, like every style and genre and subgenre has vocabulary. It's got its own inflection, dialect, hidden meaning. And they all have this expectation here, and this is the human part. There's something we expect and that we use to define that. You have that like professor that would say, give them, at least 75% what they want, 25% of what they don't. And if you're feeling really avant-garde, do half and half, right? Because if everything we're doing is new and revolutionary and unexpected, there isn't anything to grab onto. It's just like when you're playing a piece, whether pre-written or one you're devising, and there's no break in the sound. There's just continuous 8th notes, 16th notes. Oh my gosh, there's Mozart operas that I've played where it's just literally constant notes for 3 hours. And we've all heard jazz solos like that. That's something that popular music and folk music and rock really takes that space to feel and to deepen and to give us this expectation that we have to connect our body to it at the same time. And if we can connect our body, our soul, our spirit, and these 4 different layers of communication and music, wow, the sky's the limit. And so music isn't about skill first. Skill supports expression. It doesn't create it, and it should never supersede it. You don't need more skills to start expressing. You need to express. So your skill has something to serve, a communication to give, a connection to make. And if you're ready for your music, your sound, and your next step, join the revolution.